Hey guys, welcome back. And today we're looking at boxes in CSS. Right, so I just want to do a brief talk about the Slack community, so you guys can join. If you join my Telegram channel, check. I did a blog post about what the 21 days of web development to be about. So check that post, and you'll be able to see that. And if you had subscribed to my newsletter before now, um you'd also see it there. But the most general place I can tell you to check is my blog post about 21 days of web development. I put the link to the Slack, Telegram, and YouTube channel too, so you guys can join. So the purpose of this is for you to, if you have any challenges, well, if you face any challenge probably as you were coding, you can ask a question there. And for my previous videos too, you can send your these are the various categories you can send it, but this one is basically for 21 days. Then the other ones, general and random, you can actually send whatever challenges you might have encountered. Okay, so I'm just putting it out there. And on my Telegram challenge too, I also posted the link there, so feel free to join. So let's get into what we want to do today. And today we'll be looking at, I'm going to take this away. Today we'll be looking at boxes. Okay, so one of the things I mentioned when we started off with CSS is that CSS treats each HTML element as though it were in a box. Okay, so that way you can control the dimensions of a box, create borders around the boxes, set margins, and show and hide different boxes. All right, so we'll look at how to set different width. So I created this. I'm going to remove this, so let's start afresh. Okay, I've created this. I created a folder for boxes. I put two images there, and image boxes.html and boxes.css. All right. So let's start by creating a div, and I'm going to create that. And let's give it Lauren 30. All right. When we open this in our live server, we should get something like this. Okay, should get something like this. Okay, so let's go to our box.css, and we're going to actually try to style it. Let's give this a class of box. It's good to practice working with classes now. So let's come here and do dot box, or we can just do div dot box. Okay, and let's give this height. Let's have the background color. Okay, so let's give it a background color of pink. Okay, then we give this height of 300 pixels and a width of 300 pixels. So if you don't want to have to be typing height, column, and all that in wasting time, just put H and put tab, W and put tab, so that way you're kind of faster. Okay, so we have that there. Then we can also style our paragraph. So let's give it a background color. Let's give something blue. Let's use our X code, do 0088D. Okay, so that will give us a blue color. So we can give this height of 75% and give the width of 75%. Okay, so we have that set. So by default, a box is sized just big enough to hold its content. So to set your own dimensions for a box, you can use the height and width properties. And the most popular way you will specify the size of a box is to use pixels, percentages, or EMs. So traditionally, pixels have the most popular method because they allow designers or a developer to actually control the size. So when you use percentage, you are setting the box size relative to the container. So when we use percentage for p tag, but setting it in the size relative to the width of the entire of the container, and container is div, so it's basically 75% of the height, 300 pixels, something like that. And when you use EMs, that's EMS, the size of the box is based on the text, on the size of the text within. Okay, so developers will mostly use, or designers and developers will use EMs and percentages when they want a more flexible when they want to create flexible designs across screen, because your pixels is basically fixed, so it doesn't change whether you're small or big. It's going to be fixed, but your percentage and EMs, they are quite flexible. All right, so that's one thing you want to keep in mind. Another thing would be max width and min width. Okay, so when we're using max and min width, we are doing it in such a way so that because when you're designing, sometimes the whatever key elements, it could be an image or even text, sometimes it will shrink to actually fit into the size of the user screen. Okay, so you want to create the minimum level at which that element can shrink to, the minimum size it can shrink to, and I want to use max width to the maximum size it can shrink to. So it's very helpful and helps you to keep your content legible. All right, for example, you can use max width property to ensure that lines of text do not appear too wide, within a big browser window, and you can use min width to ensure that they do not appear too narrow. Okay, so we're going to try and create a table now and see how that works. So let's go back to our boxes.html and let's do table. We learned about tables in our HTML. So let's do tr, give a table head of photo. Okay, yep, give a table head of photo, then table head of description. I need to check if I'm videoing. All right, because I've had encounters where I was done with the video and this thing wasn't doing. Bro, man, I'm not a cry. I think I'm frustrating, no caps. Let's do another tr. Okay, and we'll do td, and let's give this an image attribute. I think I would like to separate this image attributes. Like I already put an image, let's give this, and let's give it a width of 200. So let's do another table data, and let's give this a class of description. So we give this let's description. Okay, and let's ub codes boxes in CSS tutorial. Okay, let's get another last table data, and we're going to do let's do $2, for example. So we have something looking like this. Then let's give it a lorem tab. So we can give this, let's try, or let's give this a width of 100. Okay, this makes more sense. Right. So let's go to our boxes and let's actually try to style this using what I just mentioned about max width and min width. Okay. So let's give td description, for example. Okay, by this description, that gets spelling. I use a description. Okay, I use a min width of 450 pixels. Okay, I do a max width of 650 pixels. A text align of left, padding of 5 pixels, and margin 0. Okay, I'm going to come here and I'm going to make this. As you can see, this spans across, like it's like there's kind of an overflow. But when we comment out this min width and we comment out this max width, you can see it fits into it. So it actually makes your distance the maximum size or the minimum size it can fit. So yet we have said that the min width that this thing can shrink to is 450. So it's not really going to allow to shrink more than that. It might actually need to shrink more than that. Of course, we said the min width will be 450 pixels. It's not actually going to allow more than that. So that's how you use min width and all that. The same thing applies for min height and max height. Alright. Same thing applies for min height and max height. So let's try to do something like that. So I'm going to come down here and let's create an h2. Let's do some defender Mustang, and let's create a p tag. Let's do learn fender Mustang. Let's do learn. Okay, then go to this h2 and let's do something like fender Stratocaster. Okay, and let's do a p tag, and let's just do fender Stratocaster. Let's do learn. Okay, then we will come again and let's do another h2 to be our last one. Let's do Gibson's Les Paul. Okay, this is an electronic guitar. Okay, and let's do a p tag. Just a Gibson's Les Paul is a solid body electric guitar. So let's go. Oh yeah, we have it being colored because of what we had set for it earlier. So I think let's give this a class of, so let's try and give this, let's try and start it differently. So I may comment this out because I want to do something different. Okay, instead of that, let's just give it various class. Let's give a class of height, class of height. Let's give this to a class of height. Okay, so we'll come here. All right, I will give our h2 now p height. Okay, we'll give a width of 400 pixels. Let's give a font size of about 90% and a line height of about 1.2 em. Okay, so we have that looking. We could also set a BR here just to differentiate, so HR as horizontal row to just create that difference in stuff. Then our h2, let's give it a color of 0088 dd and a border bottom. By putting border bottom, trying to only one pixel solid and 0088 dd. Okay, so that's just going to do that. Maybe we should give our p class, let's give it up. So p height. Okay, let's give it a color of, you see, right, so we have that set, and let's give a mean height of 10 pixels and a max height of 30 pixels. So you can see how this is looking all chopped up together. That's because we set the height to be this. If we give a more generous height, it's going to look better. So I hope this just to explain the concept of mean width and max width. Okay, so this place basically shows that when the content of the box takes up more space than the size specified for the box, if the box is not big enough to hold the content and the content expands outside the box, it can look very messy, as you can see here. So to control what happens here, when there's not enough space for content of a box, you can use overflow property. So what exactly is an overflow property? So when using overflow property, that's when you kind of see scroll buttons. Okay, so I'm going to come here, and there's a way you can give two classes to a particular element. So let's give this one a class of one. You just put a space between height and one, and you come here and give a space between both and do two, and you come here and give a space and do three. Okay, so let's come here, and we're going to do p1 and give it an overflow of Eden. Okay, and here we're going to give this an p2 and give it an overflow of scroll. Okay, so this way you can actually scroll in between. All right, so if I all right, so now what the overflow property will do is that it will tell the browser what to do if the content contained within a box is larger than the box. Instead of squashing it together, it actually tells you what to do, and you can use hidden or scroll. So when you use hidden, as we use the first one, what you simply do is to hide any extra content, right? So if I comment this out, you can see that there's more content to this. So what overflow hidden will do is just hide all the excess content. Then over the property scroll will simply add a scroll bar to the box so that you can actually scroll within it. All right, so that's the purpose of that. So let me try and shrink this to this, so you can still see what the over scroll will do. I don't know, should we add an height of 300 pixels? Okay, that doesn't look so well. So the whole point of overscroll is to actually add these scroll bars. Okay, that's the purpose of overflow. So and why you find overflow and is because some browser actually allows users to adjust the size of text to appear large or small as you want. So if the text is set too large, then the page can become like unreadable and like look really messy. So hiding the overflow of such boxes helps to prevent like overlapping on the page, right? So we'll talk about border margin and padding. So and we'll look at how each of them works. I think I have an image to explain that here. Okay. Let's start with border and padding. Okay. So every box has three available properties that can be adjusted to control its appearance: border, margin, padding. So every box has a border, even if it's not visible or is specified to be 0 pixels wide. The border separates the edge of one box from another. Okay. Then when it comes to padding, when it comes to margin sits outside the edge of the border. All right. I think I should use a pen here so we understand what I'm trying to say. Okay. Okay. And sometimes this thing zooms in, and sometimes it's just so ignorant and doesn't want to zoom in, and I don't get it. Why? So basically, the border here has been given as orange, so this is our border. So we've declared that every element actually has a border, even if you set your border to be 0 pixels, and that's like the box. They have something called margin. All right. Now, margin sits outside the edge of the border. So this is your margin. Okay, it sits outside the edge of your border. That's what margin is. So you can set the width of a margin to create gap between borders of two adjacent boxes. Okay, so border is outside the margin is outside the border box. Then padding is inside. You get, so padding is the space between the border of a box and any content contained within it. So when you add padding to an image, it sometimes as you're trying to make it fatter. That's like the way I can put it. So padding is the space between the border of a box and any content contained within it. So adding padding can increase the readability of its content. So this is the padding here. Okay, it is space between the box and its content. So if you specify a width for a box, then the borders, margin, and padding are added to its width and height. Okay, now let's look at something else. Sorry, and that would be white space and vertical margin. All right. Now, the padding and margin properties are very helpful in adding space between various items in the page. Okay, so this is when you add margin to a page. So yeah, where is the margin? Sorry, let's click markup. So yeah, the space applied here is your margin. That's your margin. And the space applied here inside the box, this space here is your padding. What is inside there? This space between here is your padding. So when you suck up all those spaces, and like there's no, when you suck up all those and there's no space, like there's that, like margin without this, without margin and padding, you can see how it's not clear. So the designer referred to the space between items on a page as white space. So imagine you add a border around the box. You would not want the text to touch the border, or it would become harder to read. Or imagine like you had two boxes sitting side by side each other with a black border. You would not necessarily want the boxes to touch the edges, as it will make like the line look twice as thick on the facing side. So if the bottom margin of any box touches the top margin of another, the browser will render it differently than you might expect. So it will only show the larger of the two margins. If both margins are the same side, it will only show one. Okay, so that's basically all we need to know about this. So moving on, we'll be looking at border width. Okay, border width. So when it comes to border width, we can have thick, medium, thick, thin, medium, thick rather. Okay, so the purpose of border width is control the width of a border. So I'm going to, we have set P1, P2, P3. All right, so I'm just going to, I'm thinking of commenting this out. All right, or let's leave it. I will do something else now. Um, so let's copy this. Let's just duplicate it one more time or two more times. So this will be 4 and this will be 5. Okay, then let's give this Gibson. Let's give this maybe less. And let's give this 4. Okay, so yeah, so I'm not going to add some lorem text here, so it looks full. um so I don't want lorem text here. So this is still happening because we've set something here. So I'm just going to do this as P1, P2. So that will only apply to the first two. The remaining this will not apply to the rest. Okay. Okay. I think let's name this Paul. So yeah. So for P3 and P4 and P5, let's give a background color of transparent. Okay. So we can see this looking like this. So what do we want to do? Let's apply borders. Okay. So let's go to our P3 and we'll give it a border width of 2 pixels. Alright, that's the border width. And there's a 2 pixels um what color, let's give it black. I'm trying to find out why it's not showing. Okay, somewhere. Um, yeah, so let's use this. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. So basically this now I don't know why it's not working out. Take a look. I expose now. So this is setting the border. Okay, so we set the width, we set the solid, and we set the black. So this is basically the width of the border. This is the style. Yeah. Okay, I think I am seeing a way around this. Okay. All right. Let's try this and let's get this to work. Yeah. So yeah, it's working. So we have border color, we have border width, and border style. So border width basically used to set the width of the stuff of the border. So you can set this to be, let's say 15 pixels if you want, and it's going to be this big. So that's how you set the border width. Okay, then let's go to our P3, P4 rather. Okay, and here let's just take, I'm going to take this border color, put it here because I think it needs to work with the remaining. And let's just leave this border style as solid. Let's give it solid, and we're going to give it a border width of thick. And you can see it's looking here. Then the last one for our P5, okay, we'll give it a border width of let's give 1 pixels, 4 pixels, 12 pixels, 4 pixels. So what does this mean? And we'll be able to see the changes take effect here. Okay, let's add border color. So we'll make this solid. So yeah, okay. Okay, and let's give this solid. So you can see how it's looking. All right, so why these 4 values? So the 1 pixels here specifies top, the 1 pixels here specifies the top here, the 4 pixels here specifies top then right, which is here, the 12 pixels here specifies the bottom, and the other 4 pixels here specifies what the left. This is this other gives. So it's more like border width. Okay, then you have top, right, bottom left. Yeah, so this is like the syntax. Okay, so even if I set this to be 0, for example, you see that this side disappears, the left side disappears. Then you set it to be 6 pixels, you can also see like a difference. So that's how you do it. Okay, so that's working with border this thing. Then working with border styles. Okay, it helps you to control the style of your border. So you have single, dotted, double, dashed, and all. So for example, we could, this one we gave this dotted, we gave this solid. Let's give this one dashed. You can see how dashed is looking. We could give double. Let's try various ones. Let's try multiplying this. Or to save time, let us go on. You give it dashed. Let's go to our 4. We give it double. See how double is looking. We have groove. Yeah, this groove. And there is ridge. So this is how ridge is looking. There is insets, right? See how inset is looking. And there is outsets. So when used double, we found that I gave two solid lines. Groove appears to be carved into the page. Okay. um ridge appears to stick out from the page. Insert appears to be embedded into the page, and outset looks like it's coming out of the screen. Then when you use none, no border is shown. Okay, so let's create one more, and you could to add to, you can set border colors too. All right, so this is when we set the general border color. We can set the border color to be yellow, for example. Another way we could set the border color is that we could specify various distance. For example, I could set the border top color, something like border top color. Okay, I could set this to be pink. Okay, then I could do border right color. I could set it to be red. Could do border bottom color. I could set it to be yellow, and I could do border left color, and I could set it to be green. So that's it. So it's like you can see now it's possible that you can individually set different colors for each of your sites. Now I feel there's a shorter way of writing all this, so we're going to create a last one to demonstrate that, which is just simply border. So let's copy this, all right, and just paste it down here, and I'll call this Lauren, and we give this 6. Okay, so come to our boxes.css, we'll do 6. Okay, and let's run style it. So let's give this a width of 250 pixels, and we give this border of 3 pixels dotted and a blue color it is again. So you can see how this is looking. Something's off. Hold on please. All right, So let's do a background color of transparent. I think it's inheriting a style which I don't have time to start looking at. Let's give it transparent and let's leave our color to be our blue color as specified. Alright. So we're going to make this a bit thicker, maybe 5 pixels. As you can see, this is how it is. So when you're using border, that's a shorthand method. So basically, when you're using border, the first part stands for, let's talk about the border width. Okay. The second part stands for the border style, and the last part stands for the border color. So instead of having to be writing it all over, you can just simply use that. Okay. Then sometimes you might just only want to actually just style the bottom. So if I comment this out, you can do something like border bottom and use the same format. We give it 5 pixels dotted 00. So what this will do is that it will really style the bottom. If you make it border left, that's the same thing that would occur. Sorry, border left. That's the same thing that will happen. Okay, if I make it border top now, that's the same thing that will happen. If I make it border right, that's the same thing that would happen here. So that's basically how you work with borders. Okay, so then let's talk about padding. How many minutes have you spent? So you know my fault. Boxes are quite crucial things. It's one of the foundations you would need to understand in CSS. So let's talk about padding. And I mentioned that padding is, we mentioned that, look that, let me take it back to the image so you get what I'm saying. One of the things we looked at was that padding is the space between the box, the border of the box, and any content contained within it. So this pinkish part here is where your padding is applied to. Okay, so let's, okay, so padding would just allow you to specify how much space you would want to appear between the content of an element and its border. Alright, so it just makes your stuff more spicier. So let's give this a tag. Let's do p dot padding. So this automatically creates a class for you like that. So let's do analog produce a wave sound, whereas the alright, okay, no. Okay, so just all that. So let's give another one here. I do pick example, and let's do lorem examples. Okay, so we have that set. So let's come here, so we can see that somewhere down here, and so we gave this a class of what example and padding. So let's come here and do p example, p padding. Let's start with p padding and p example. We'll give this a background color of transparent. A background of transparent. Okay. So that will just remove the color here. And we could come here and let's put an H horizontal row just to create that difference. So for our p padding, give you a width of 275 pixels and a border 2 pixels solid and our color. Okay. Yes. So guys, I just injured my hand. I don't think I'll be able to type, like, so painful. Oh my goodness! I tried adjusting the chair, my chair. I tried borrowing someone's chair. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, it is painful. So where were we? Well, that's why you interrupted me actually. So I had to like quickly stand up to like, figure out what was going on. So as you can see, this doesn't look so fine. Yeah, it doesn't. So we're going to do the same thing for our example. Okay, and we're going to give it the same thing. What difference is that we're going to give it a padding. We're going to give it a padding of 10 pixels. Okay, and you can see that there's a difference. So padding actually makes your this thing makes it more clearer, makes it look better. And the same way we did for border, we can actually do a padding top of maybe um 50 pixels. So you can see how the top is. You can do a padding left of 50 pixels. You can see how that is. You can do a padding bottom of 50 pixels. So you can see how that is. So you can really just be flexible about it. So and there's also a shorthand you can go about it. Um you can do padding, let's say padding 10 pixels, 5 pixels, 3 pixels, 1 pixels. When you do a single padding like this, padding maybe padding 5 pixels, it's going to add the all round padding. So that means everywhere your top, your line, everything will be the same. But when you do it like this, you can specify how you want it everywhere. So this one is basically when you do padding like this, you're trying to say the top, the right, the bottom, the left. Yeah, these are you're trying to say. So that's basically the syntax. Okay, so the same thing applies for margin. Okay, we could also margin would work. We learned here that sorry that margin sits in the edge. You can set margin to create a gap between two borders of adjacent blocks. So you have two distance here. So I'm going to come down here and let's give this a margin of 0 pixels. Then you see margin wise not having any effects. That's weird. Okay, okay, okay. Let's do something. Let's cut this and give it a div. Now will this work? Let's try giving it a class. I'm trying to okay. Alright, this doesn't work. And for another example I can use to explain margin. Let's just do that. So let's give it a margin of 50 pixels for example. So when we give this a margin of 50%, we can see that it actually takes itself, pushes it away from the containing the surrounding around it. But if I do a padding of 50 pixels, it's affecting what is inside the box, not what is outside the box. So if you do let's comment this and let's leave our padding. So if you do a padding of 5 pixels, it's working inside. That's something that is quite more notable. Something like 30 pixels now. The padding is taking place inside, not outside. So padding takes place inside and margin takes place outside. And the same format that you can use for margin, the same that you use for padding top, the same way you can also do for margin top, right, bottom, left. Okay, so let's move. So how can you center a div? Oh, should I get into that now? Um, display flex, certified content center, align item center. That's basically how you center a div. But I think for the purpose of what we're learning now, I won't go there yet. Okay. So to basically center a box, you can just do text align center, text align left. Now we did something about margin. Okay. So okay. see how this look. So when you do text align center, it does left text align center like this. So let's work with this. Let's try okay. When you use flex, it kind of lets your stuff go loose. So when you use flex like that, flex, relax. So it just makes your relax. And when you do align item center, then when you do justify content center, and you can see that this is what's centered. Another way you could go about this would be I comment all this out. Let's try something like that. So basically that's the basic way of centering. So this way you don't need to search internet again. I've told you that's how you center something. Especially when you're not working with text. You're working with text, just do text align center. It's going to center. But if you're working with like boxes and all, just simply use what I just gave now. Alright. So let's talk about display because I use display flex here. So let's talk about display. There are many displays you can use. There's display inline, display block, and display none. Okay. So let's go to the top of our page and let's try and do something. So create a div. I don't know. Should I give a class of display? So wow. Give it a class of display. Okay. Something is called get. Okay, sorry. So UL does that. Give it an li as the form products kind of catching code. Services. Let's give this class of coming soon and li about li contact. Okay, so let's come here. So you can see this has appeared here. So our div, so our li, we give a display of display inline, and when you do that, it makes everything what go in a straight line. So inline causes a block level element to act as though it's an inline element. All right, then block will cause an inline element to display block cause an inline element to act as though it's were a block level element. Okay, so I could do this as margin none, sorry, margin 10 pixels, and you can see that space. So that's like as though we're creating an alpha. So let's start our li coming soon and give a display none. So services, when you use display none, it hides that element from the page. So in this case, the element acts as though it's not on the page at all. Although if you use your view content, view source, you actually see it. So let's right click and click on view source, and if you come here, you actually see the services. Although we hid it, but yet it's still, it's still showing. So the user will see they click on view source. So if you use the non-property, it's important to note that the inline boxes are not supposed to create block level elements. In this example, like the list that we have done here, the list we've done here, you can see that each item of this list is treated as a block element, But the rule for align elements is that they should be treated as inline element, which means that they will sit alongside each other. So, and you mostly use this when you're trying to create a navigation bar for a site. All right, so that's basically all we need to know about this. So visibility, um now when we, yeah, we did display none. All right, there's also something known as visibility, and we could do display ed. Okay, so when we use display none, it collapses the space. So hidden hides the element, visible will show the element. So if I put visible, so what visibility hidden will do is that it still leaves the space for the element, it doesn't close it up. But when use display none, it closes up the space of the element. Okay, so if you don't want a blank space to appear, then you can just use display property of the value of none instead. All right, so that's how you go about it. So think, okay, second to last thing we'll be looking at would be border shadow. Then we'll look at border radius, then we call it a day. I think we've spent over, almost, shouldn't set 45 minutes mark, but really box is an important part of CSS. So, and same thing with layout. I think layouts also take a bit of our time. All right, so let's leave this as plain on. Okay, now box shadow. Okay, so let's go to our P1. We have our P1 already. All right, I think I'll use what else. Okay, so let's start in P1. So you create, I think I want to create, you're not supposed, in basic, when you're actually like reading a contact, you reading a website, this is just a tutorial. Like now I'm going to style P1 again differently. You don't have to do that if you're actually creating a website, just do everything together. But I'm doing it separately so that you guys can actually understand, there's no confusion anywhere. Okay, or let me use different one. So I'm going to create, you stopped at 6, right? So let's do 7. um Lorem 8. So let's do lorem dot 8, and that's one be 9. Okay, okay, let's do that. Let's go back to our boxes. So we have that somewhere here. So I'm still going to, let's go somewhere up here, the place where we made everything transparent, didn't we? So let's just do p dot 7, p dot 8, p dot 9. So everything is going to take this transparent color, so it's not so much confusion. So let's start with p dot 7. Okay, so we want to use box shadow, so we're going to use moz. Okay, box shadow. Okay, so what a box shadow property will do is that it allows you to drop a shadow around the box. It works just like text shadow property. All right, so when horizontal offset negative is when you make use of negative values to position the shadow to the left of the box. Vertical offset is when you make use of, sorry for me, is when you make use of negative values to position the shadow to the top. Then when you make a blur, the shadow is a solid. Like if you omit blur, the shadow will be like solid. So with examples we are going to use now, you understand more of what I'm saying. So let's give it -5 pixels and 77777. And we'll use a WebKit box shadow 5 pixels 5 pixels, 77777. Okay, see how that's looking. As you can see, this is happening. Then let's go our box shadow, minus 5 pixels, minus 5 pixels. Right, so let's do our P8. We're going to do MOZ box shadow. I'm going to give the same pixels. Okay. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here and add one more 5 pixels here. And in this case, it won't be negative. Okay. And we'll be seeing that here. So let's go on. Then we'll add a web kit. Just go to copy this web kit and put it right here. And in this case, we'll also have oh yeah, what did I do? 5 pixels. Okay, so let's copy this and paste it down too. Okay, then we'll have a box shadow of the same thing. Right, so you can see this, you can see how this is happening. Then last one will okay, so see, look at it. Okay, 9, I believe, should be box shadow. Box shadow. So let's copy this first one. Let's place it right here. Okay, and here would have one more 5 pixels. Okay, and we're going to copy that. Let's place it down. Then this will be box shadow again. This will be WebKit. You can learn more about WebKit online. I'm gonna dive deep into that now. Time is gone. So let's do box shadow. And then we can just copy that and put. Let's just copy this and put. Okay, and so we have this looking here, and we can go on, and let's create 2 more. Then we have 10 and 11, and that will be some of the last things we'll discuss. So let's make this 10, let's make this 11. The battery is about almost dead. 13%, okay. Let's do some things like that. So let's come here where we have as P10, P11. Okay, then coming down, so we're going to remove that border. That's what we're always having the background to be blue, so I was trying to remove that border. So when we have P10, for example, let's copy this. Okay, and let's just paste it right here. And instead, what we'll use this time will be a 0 top, 0 left, 0 right, 10 pixels, and usual column. So let's copy the same thing and put it here and put it here. So we'll have this again. Then the last one we'll look at will be P11, and let's take here what we copied here, and instead what we'll have here will be what insert 10 pixels. Okay, and we'll copy the same thing here and paste it down here and paste it down here. So that makes a lot of sense. And we have this, so it's insert. You can also use offset. So that's basically all about this. Then last one we'll look at would be border radius. And border radius will just simply give your image a radius. So let's go to this one that we have a very sturdy border. That was something about analog, I believe. So that's the class with padding, the paragraph with class of padding and example. Let's go to the paragraph with class of padding and example. I will just give it a border radius of 20 pixels. So that gives it this code. Then if you want it to be like a circle, you can give a padding of 50%. It's going to make it a circle. No, sorry. I just said padding of 50. I meant border radius of 50%. So it's going to make it but this goes out of proportion to so so you wanted to make a border like this. So basically that's how you work with it. What other thing is there for me to talk about? Uh, so, so that's basically how you make a circle border. Okay. So we've come to the end of this video. If you liked it, if you come this far, please like, share, and subscribe. So I don't boxes in CSS, and next time we'll be looking at forms in CSS. Alright. Then layout and images, and we are done with CSS. Okay. So I love you all. Happy coding. Have a great